Alright, Scrafters, yeah, it's game 3, it's a decider. We are one game apiece here with these two, yeah, some interesting plays. So in the last game, you know, Lizard demonstrated an affinity for building workers, certainly did that, and in no short measure had 100 workers, and you don't often see that as a Protoss. That's a Zerg number of workers. Even that is high for most Zergs, and unless you've got the macro skills of somebody like Raynor, you just don't need 100 workers. And do bear in mind that, you know, that huge income, you need a lot of production facility to spend it, and also bear in mind that because it will limit your army supply, you're unlikely to win a big sit back, build a maxed out army and fight. Because, you know, if both players are maxed out and you've got 100 workers, that's only 100 supply of army, whereas if your opponent's stopped at 70 workers, they've got 130 supply. The math speaks for itself. So that is a style that you can play, but the way to play it is to use that huge income to trade armies, or at least trade your army for some of your opponent's army, and have so much production facility that you can remax quicker than they can, because you've got that huge income with your 100 workers, and you do it again and you do it again, and you slowly but surely grind their army down in size until your 100 supply army beats theirs, and you win the game that way. But you can't do that with only 5 gateways and 2 stargates. You need much more than that. You know, that would be a style that is arguably best played with a gateway heavy army, maybe Zealot Archon or something like that, where you would have you know, between 20 and 30 gateways to crank those units out super fast indeed. Anyway, yeah, Lizard's come and done a bit of a scout, had a bit of a poke, and seen that everything is normal. Side core, yeah, nothing weird. Side core before Expo, but look, just as I say that, the Nexus is on its way. Over here for Lizard, no Expo yet, but there is a Zealot. Is going to be allowed to finish up, and as the side core finishes, we'll see what sort of tech he decides to go for. Maybe this worker is actually coming. No. Sorry, this worker is indeed, I think, coming down to drop the Nexus over here. So that's all fine. It doesn't look like there's, you know, in the past couple of games, these two have played pretty straight up. There hasn't been anything particularly cheesy. Adepts are a tricky one, and I'd hesitate to recommend them until you've played a fair bit of StarCraft. They can be a very good unit, and if your opponent's never sort of played against them before, they can definitely be effective. But if you've never used them before, you do need to think about how you're using them. In a straight up fight, you do need overwhelming numbers, but when it comes to killing workers, they can be ever so effective, because they can kind of shed into the back of a mineral line, start killing stuff, and then they can just shed out again when the army turns up to fight them. So you would normally do that in slightly smaller numbers. I don't know what these guys are doing parked here, not much by the looks of things. So the different ways you can use adepts, the pretty standard way would be to just 2 adepts, and you shed them into the mineral line, and 2 adepts will one-shot workers. You get the glaives upgrade so that they fire quicker, and you just one-shot as many workers as you can, and you shed out again, and that can be annoying. You can go for a slightly heavier adept build, where you pressure the front with a large number of glaive adepts, and you cause problems for your opponent, because if they kind of move their army out to see you off, you shed into their mineral line, and if they follow the shed, you cancel it and attack their natural, and if they don't follow the shed, you let it finish and you attack their main base, and you know that can be a real headache to deal with, and your opponent then does need to sort of split their army up and be in 2 places at once. But to be honest, that is a style of play that does require some finesse, and does require, it's a pretty micro-intensive style of play. So the risk, of course, being that you're so busy fiddling about with your adepts that you fall behind in terms of your macro, and you forget to build your tech structures, and you forget to build those additional gateways, expand, build the workers, etc. So yeah, it can be effective, but I would hesitate to recommend it. until we get into the slightly later rounds and people are feeling a bit more comfortable with how the game works and how to play it. So yeah, observers spreading out across the map here. Lizard's observer is just going to come uncontested straight into the main base and see everything there is to see. So that's good, Scott. Get to see the Stargate. You know that that's there. Nothing building from the Stargate at present, and I don't think anything has been built from the Stargate. No, it hasn't. So a bit weird, but anyway, there you have it. Meanwhile, on the other side of the map, this Stalker has... I'm not sure what happened there. I think is that Stalker on just... I have a sneaking suspicion. This... how does he not see it? Surely he sees it. Look, why doesn't he kill this observer? You can see it. It's got to show up as a dot on your mini. Look at it. There it is. There it is. Kill that. You've got to kill it. Anyway, sees everything there is to see. Also sees this Stargate, but nothing built out of it yet. Sees the second Stargate as well, which is pretty good. So finally that goes down. Lizard this time doing a better job with the double robo of having enough production facilities, but there's nothing building from them. You know, it's only half the story that you've got to have those production facilities. You've got to use them as well. You do have to actually make stuff build. So yeah, both players economically doing reasonably, sort of expanding and consuming map, and that is good to see. But both players do need to work on that macro of just consistently your gateway shouldn't be idle, your robo shouldn't be idle, your forge shouldn't be idle. You know, why did you build them if you ain't going to use them? So yeah, a couple of things that need doing there. This worker, unfortunately, I think has been sent to the gas, but has misclick, has parked it next to the gas. So hopefully that gets rectified soon. Yeah, this is such a hard base to hold in the middle of the map here, this one. So I'm kind of surprised that ImperialGold has gone for this rather than flying out to here with the prism, or better still, just killing these rocks and holding this base. Although this is no picnic either, you know, with the multiple attack angles into it. But still, you can put a worker or a zealot or whatever on this watchtower and know exactly what is coming and when. Looks to me like ImperialGold's got more than enough to hold this, so shouldn't have any problems in fending this off. There's a couple of warp prisms flying about here. This one is loaded with stuff somehow. I can't help but feel that that's just a misclick. Lizard's still pressing in. Oh, that is painful. The warp prism goes down full of units. Hang on. What? Whoa, wait. The last time I looked, ImperialGold had more than... it's the DTs. The Invisible Man. All those, like, observers that are on this map. And none of them with the army. And look, ImperialGold just losing a warp prism full of units. Oh, the Invisible Man, clean it up. That is painful because sorry, I'm just going to do this one more time. Army supply 86 to 76 here in favor of ImperialGold. Has got immortals, has got, I mean, admittedly adepts aren't going to add. Well, actually they'll trip pretty well against the zealots, but oh my. That is a pretty ugly fight, I'll tell you. So the army supply dwindles very quickly indeed for ImperialGold. And you'd think we'd be learning by now not to lose stuff to these Invisible Men, but it doesn't seem to be the case. So DTs here, you know, with sort of numbers of kills along the lines of 8 each. So between them, you know, 20 odd units. just killed by those well, 8 and 6. So 22 units just killed by those 3 is pretty painful, and certainly enough to swing a fight and make it look one-sided, when really it should have been an easy hold. You had the upper ground and you had the units in position. Lizard now going to take this base, greedy, and that puts him in charge of a substantial chunk of the map. But you know, ImperialGold, you need those observers. You did have observers earlier in the game. Those were a thing that existed. Where are they now? I don't know, man. I don't know. The Mama ship is going to come out, and that's great. Your opponent also does have observers, I think. Yeah, has got one with this little army. So the mothership is obviously going to help a great deal, but what it's not going to do is kill the Dark Templars. So that's kind of the big problem here at present. Now obviously these cannons can detect them. That is a lot of Dark Templar to load into. Oh, those are workers. I could have sworn a second ago what? Right. So I could have sworn somehow I managed to click on a prism that was full of DTs. But no, he's loading in workers. That's all right. As a top tip, what you generally do as Protoss for these occasions, when you want to either take a ninja or whatever, you just send one worker to build it and get it all set up. And then when the Nexus finishes, you can recall the workers to it. You don't have to fly them out there. So let's see how this fight goes. Everything's coming in. The cannons will reveal the DTs, so there is a chance they die, but the army supply is well in favor of Iizard at this point. The Mama ship comes out and does cloak everything up pretty nicely. So actually army supply now plummeting for Iizard, and this, these units that are just coming in are achieving nothing. They're just walking about because they haven't got anything to shoot at. This single DT is going ham. Look, 9, 10. Oh, it's a bit painful, isn't it? I don't know what to say about this sort of crap. Just please, people, build detection. Just, if you want to save this, just move the mothership over it and it'll cloak, and then the DT can't kill it. Anyway, the DT foolishly wanders towards a cannon, gets detected and killed. If we look at the income tab at this point, though, it's pretty painful. This base needs to be mining. Look, there's plenty of workers here that you could pull. There's 12 workers mining this one mineral patch. So a big transfer there will make a huge difference. And you need to be building workers here as well. So only one worker in production, but you've got like 3, 4 nexuses. Why aren't workers being built 4 at a time? If you're short of minerals, mine more. To do that, you need to build workers, and 1 at a time isn't going to cut it. So Iizard loves the 100 worker point, doesn't he? Absolutely loves it. He can't get enough of that. Production wise this time, there are 3 robos here. These guys apparently trapped, so I think he's trying to no, shooting that one isn't any good. Surely shoot that gateway and you can get out. Oh no, they're not trapped. Oh, I don't know what was happening there. I have no idea. Anyway, it's 114 army supply against 70. This is going to be an extremely unlikely hold. And yeah, even with the Mama ship, I wish these units weren't in the warp prison. They can't shoot from inside a warp prison. Please let them out. Even with the Mama ship, I feel like what? I feel like Iizard has got enough to win. Although, all this stuff just not bothering to shoot. Just be like, what am I watching? That is one of the most painfully mismanaged fights that I have ever set my eyes on. I mean, that ground army was largely stalkers, and Immortals eat stalkers before breakfast, not even for breakfast, before breakfast, as a kind of pre-breakfast snack. They just crunch them. It's disgusting. Anyway, that's not what happened. So ImperialGold holds in against an army that I give up. I don't even know how to cast these games, man. Just loads of stuff happens that's just not supposed to happen in a game of StarCraft. His prism's still got 4 stalkers in it. No one knows why. I don't even know whose units are whose. ImperialGold has got a DT problem. Still hasn't bothered to build any observers, so still can't see them. I wish he would build the observers. I don't know. These units are presumably following a DT around that they can't see. I don't know why. In the production tab, there's literally nothing. He's got 900 minerals. He's got idle warp gates. I don't know why you wouldn't be warping in some units and going and putting on some hurt, but you're not. Anyway, it's 100 army supply to 26. It's 89 workers to 9. This game is over. Honestly, I mean, I know there was various things happened at different points, but it was the Invisible Man that It was very much the Invisible Man that killed ImperialGold. And honestly, if you don't build the detection, if you don't build the observers, you kind of, what can you expect? You know, if I build Invisible Men against you and I discover that you don't have any detection, well, I've caught you out, and okay, happy days, I've got a little win there. If I send Invisible Men against you again 10 minutes later or 5 minutes later or whatever it was, and you still haven't built detection, well then you just deserve to lose the game. I mean, that's as simple as that. GG.